Hello all and welcome to round one of the grand finale for the All Hands on Deck tournament here. It has been an incredible tournament, but only one team is going to win here. We will see which one it is. Team 1 is 1-800 Got Hellbombed. Both teams have been playing really well, actually. I shouldn't just say that one team's been doing good. Anyway, 1-800 Hellbombed. We have Flynn, Duke of Stars, Blackbat, and Scrubbus facing off against Team 2, Snipes, Xenophon, Herman, and Hunter. We are here on Gold Rush for the first round here as both teams begin to ready up. It would appear that 1-800 is not putting any names on their ships. Oh, look at this. 1-800 is using deception warfare here, not putting any names on their ships to impede the ability of LIMOS from identifying which ships they're firing at. Let's take a look at where the teams are deploying. Looks like both teams are deploying pretty heavy seaside, which is pretty common here on Gold Rush. There's a lot of cover at sea, and it's typically the safer route to go for both teams. Although OSP does like to push E a lot on this map. Curious that they're not really doing it here. Lots of tracks deploying C. Only one ship on E side, probably a capper asset going to grab the point. Whereas 1-800 doesn't look like it has any capper assets unless this capper asset going B is going to redeploy to E later. Very interesting deploy here. ANS very spread out on their deployment here. It looks like they're doing a couple ships low. I'm guessing those are CLs. Potentially, we will see. This is a battleship. Who's brought the battleship on Team 1-800? That one, we don't really see a whole lot of battleships in this tournament. We will see who brought that. All right, let's go over the teams really quickly here. Blackbat. CLs low. I successfully guessed it. We have 2 gun CLs with S3H backpacks. Raider Whiplash, pretty standard stuff here. And 1 Jam Escort. And is this a capper? Looks like it. Looks like an empty capper, potentially going to the Sea Point or somewhere else. Duke is bringing the double CL half-cap fleet that obliterated us on Colon 3 last weekend here. Various empty cappers as well. Most of these cappers are pretty empty due to the point cost of the CLs, but still, fast assets are very nice to have regardless of whether they can fight or not. If Duke keeps those CLs close to those assets, those cap assets, they can do a lot of work in destroying OSP light stuff. Flynn is bringing missile corvettes. Oops, all missile corvettes. Whoa, what are we having here? Lots of S2Hs in these. This is a very curious fleet. Only 5 corvettes going low, full missile load. We will see what happens with that fleet. And Scrubbus is running the battleship. Parallax radar, pretty standard stuff. Whiplash Raider, Dragonfly Raider, yep, pretty standard battleship build. A floodlight on the bottom for anti-jam and self-illum. Disco ball on the side. Yep, this is a fairly standard thing. What's in the VLS2? 57 SDMs! Oh, this is, yeah, this is a very heavy SDM loadout for a battleship. Very, very interesting. The escort is Sarissa and Flak, so yeah, Scrubbus not risking it at all when it comes to craft. Alright. Let's take a look at the board right here. Neither team really moving a whole lot in the time it took me to go over 1-800's team. We have, I'm assuming this is a meat tug. Yep, the meat tug heading E. Nothing to contest it by the looks of it. B and D secured by their respective teams. CLs are moving to C Point, likely to hunt down any light assets that try and cap it first, although no shuttles on OSP going for the point. These tugboats are going to take a while to get there. Let's take a look at limos really quickly here. It would appear that Herman is running a double Acello fleet here. Auroras, I'm assuming Raider. Yeah, this is pretty standard Acello builds. Flying in formation with Xenophon's monitor ball here. Very nice to see. Those Acellos will be providing excellent defense for the monitors. Hunter with the rail cello here up in the top corner of the map overlooking C and A. Looks like they're the one bringing the cap fleet. Very, very interesting half-cap fleet here. We have a rail CL and a very cheap gunliner here, 250s and 100. Very nice to see here. This thing was going to be very deadly against small assets. And then a lot of meat tugs. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 meat tugs. And I'm assuming a couple gun shuttles as well. Yep, that's what these are. Very nice to see. Snipes is running the carrier. What do we have in here? It's all Barracudas, because why would it be anything different? Interesting to note here is that ANS is not running any carrier assets. I don't even think they have anything that can carry craft. Yeah. Lots of CLs, lots of fast assets. The only really large thing they have is the Battleship, which is deploying high over A. Parallax in there, it's going to be very useful looking over this big open gap here, putting down suppress and fire against anything that it sees. Duke sending 2 of its empty cappers to A point here. Doesn't look like... Oh, no, the monitors have engaged. Wasp Squadron with rockets here is also engaging the cappers. Will the monitors and craft destroy these ships fast enough? Looks like Wasp Squadron is attacking the one that is not being fired at. Bunch of rockets into their thing. Takes out its CIC. Aux steering, keeping it alive. There it goes. One down. Wasp puts more rockets into the ship that's already dead, although it immediately swaps fire, and ACAP is denied by both Wasp Flight and all of these monitors here. And Hunter sends a cap ship onto the A point. Hunter's liner already shows orange for ammo because it has a craft on it. It's likely loaded with flechette, yeah. So 35 flechette into, I believe it was a halberd, yeah. It has a halberd that runs flechette, and the only ammo it brings is for one loadout of this thing, so that's why it's already showing orange for ammo. 2 cappers already dead on A, which is quite the loss for 1-800 here. The Battleship trying to duel with the monitors gets bombshelled. Those bombshells will not do any damage to this thing. Although Scrubbus electing to pull back here. Although the bombshells will be doing damage to this frigate here. I do believe it's going to get into cover ahead of time before it takes too much damage, but... Yeah, the monitors pushing up to this rock up here, already within plasma range of Scrubbus's Battleship. What is that range bracket? We are at approximately 8-ish kilometers away from the Battleship. That's pretty close. 100 mil now going into this defense frigate here. Takes quite a lot of damage. No restores on this thing. If this thing starts losing compartments, it's not going to be functional. That's grape shot. Strives are down. Stonewall down. That is rough. That's a rough loss for Scrubbus losing such an expensive defensive asset that quickly. E point going securing by this meat tug here. It's going to get the E point. There's nothing there to stop it. C point is also going into the hands of Limos here. The CLs are not really in a position to deny that. Hunter's liner in the perfect position to put down fire against these voxels here and prevent them from pushing closer to the cap point to deny it. The voxels electing to trade fire with the liner. I believe this ship is undetected. Yeah, it's using a little bit of terrain here to remain undetected. A point being secured by Limos here. The voxels doing their best to deny it, but not enough. They will kill the capper, but the cap has already been taken by OSP. E point secured. C point will be secured momentarily here. This ship is not going to die fast enough to for the cap to be denied. And yeah, that is a 4 cap off the bat for Limos. Very impressive. Hunter bagging his liner off the C point, realizing that there's no need to keep this thing in the line of fire of the voxels now that the C point is secured. Voxels underneath the map don't really have a lot to fire at here. Still trying to take out this capper, but not a whole lot else is in range. What is the range to the monitors? The voxels are at 10 kilometers away from the monitors, so 2 kilometers out of range. SDMs from Flynn's little missile fleet going into Bastion's in Bolt Squadron here. Bastion is... believe, yep, 35 Flechette, Combat Air Patrol. Bolt Squadron is also the same. Bolt Squadron looks like it was detached for some reason. Flynn's missile ships are within the territory of OSP here, as... Are they detected? No, they're not detected, but it looks like the monitors are moving around the corner here, potentially to engage the spot where all of those SDMs came from. I believe that Limos probably knows that there is something under the map here because of all the SDMs that went into Bastion Squadron. I do not know if they know what it is yet. The monitors also could be just pushing up to this point here to try and to engage Duke's voxels here. The voxels are being spotted. Well, were being spotted. Nope, are being spotted by potentially, I'm assuming one of these meat tugs is spotting them. It could also be the liner as well, or it could be this fleet up here. Yeah, the monitors and Acellos engaging the voxels. The range bracket is still pretty high here. Duke has good drive setup on these things. Should be able to orbit dodge pretty effectively here. Yeah, most of those shells miss. There is no target lock on these voxels. Those shells are not going to hit. E-Point being approached by 2 empty cap ships here under the command of Duke. These ships are empty. They have no... No, this thing has offensive S1s on it, but I believe this thing has a police. Yeah. Duke not having the weapons that he needs on these cappers to deal with this meat tug that's just holding the E-Point. Although, that being said, Black Bat's voxels are moving over to the E-Point here, recognizing that they need to get on caps before the 4 cap adds up. Flynn's corvettes are rising up potentially onto the D-Point here. There's not a whole lot there to stop them. The monitors could turn back around to defend it, but it will take time for them to turn around. The carrier is in the area and could potentially launch strikes. If these... No, the corvettes are kind of going over in this direction. Team LIMOS having their carrier in a really, really good spot compared to where ANS's assets are. Whistler Squadron. We have Combat Air Patrol moving up onto the Battleship. Curious. The Battleship trading long-range fire with the Acellos here. Is getting some good damage into them, but they are now bow on and will not be taking a whole lot of damage now that they are properly angled. First of the SDMs from the Battleship go into Whistler Squadron here. Whistler maybe potentially trying to bait out the SDMs from the Battleship. If only they knew that this Battleship has literally infinite SDMs for some reason. Black Bat's voxels are moving onto the E-Point here. Nothing here is going to stop them from capping it. Rocket Squadron is heavily damaged here. Does still have R1 rockets, but R1 rockets are not going to be really doing a whole lot of damage against voxels. Although SDMs from the Battleship do help Black Bat out. Good team play from 1-800 here, using their assets to help each other. Whistler Squadron is reduced to 6 craft, down to 5, 4. Rails out on the Battleship. Scrub is trying to get into cover from the rail cello here. Whistler doing its best to shoot down the SDMs before they hit, although they are now within point defense range of the Battleship. They need to back off right now or they're going to lose the rest of their number. E-Point being secured by Black Bat's voxels. There is nothing that LIMOS has there to deny that, although this meat tug is hiding under the rock here. If the voxels move on out of range of this meat tug, it could recap the point. C-Point is firmly in the hands of LIMOS here. Duke's voxels have backed off pretty significantly here, trying to open the range, I believe, from the monitors and Acellos. They do not want to be fighting those ships right now. Flynn is just going up. Probably hunting the carrier would be my guess, although the carrier is on the other side of the map. Dagger Squadron sortied with rockets here. Hunting down, I believe, yeah, hunting down Flynn here. Flynn does have SDMs on these things. Yeah, quite a few. Could be able to defend against that strike. Black Bat does have a capper here hiding by the A-Point. If those monitors move away from the A-Point, Black Bat can potentially get the point here, although these monitors are in a very good position, overlooking both A-Point and able to overlook C-Point if needed. The voxels still moving low. Duke potentially trying to push them around and underneath the C-Point on the other side, maybe trying to get a jump on the liner. The liner does still have its guns pointed to where the voxels used to be, although these voxels were spotted on burn through. If Hunter is paying attention, he can pivot this liner to face these voxels. 450 fire coming out from the Acellos here against the voxels, firing on a burn through track, trying to get through the jamming. We have illuminators out from the Acellos trying to help spot these voxels, but these voxels are putting out a lot of jamming, staying very hidden. Dagger Squadron taking more SDMs. It would appear that Bastion Squadron also took SDMs from Flynn at some point, reducing their number from 12 to 7. No, that wasn't the correct flight. Where was the rocket flight? Was it... No, not Reflex. This is Combat Air Patrol. Was this the squadron? This was the squadron of 12. It's reduced to 2. Wow, very effective SDM use from Flynn here, just absolutely annihilating that entire squadron. Scrubbs' battleship continuing to just hide behind the rock here, unable to push into that massive ball of frontline that OSB has. More SDMs out from Flynn, firing into Bastion Squadron here. Bastion Squadron is combat air patrol, does not have strike capabilities, but Flynn does not know that. Manages to take out one. Whistler Squadron still just patrolling the area over here. They took heavy losses from the battleship's SDMs, but are still just out sorted here, potentially trying to spot things for the enemy. What is this? How did I not notice this? Hunter has a bat capper at B. How did they get this here? What? Okay. Well, there's nothing to stop this shuttle from just taking the B point. The Voxels have moved up into the OSP territory. There's nothing back here to defend B. The battleship is in the area, but 450 is not going to be able to kill this thing fast enough before it takes the point. Flynn's little cluster here is spotted, putting out jamming in the direction they're being spotted. However, the Illuminators out from the Escalation here, burning through that jamming. The monitors are turning to pivot. If these things start getting bombshells out on Flynn, Flynn is kind of screwed here. HE Frag S2H immediately stages on presumably this halberd back here, and I'm not sure why that's staged so quickly. Is it comms jamming? Is there comms jamming being directed from the Escalation? No, I think that's just the green from the Illuminators. Duke backing off from where they were, deciding to take out this meat shuttle back here. They spot it, potentially, yeah, they spot it going for the B point. They assume that it was the back cap, but they have no idea that this shuttle is here. Duke is rising up, potentially to try and contest the C point here. 1-800 has to know that they have to try to get caps before the points add up. Flynn does manage to go dark here. They split their jamming between the halberd and the monitors here, able to jam them out enough to go dark. Illuminators do go back out, but now Black Bat is engaging with the voxels here. Unfortunately, this for them, this Acelo is still bow on relative to them. It's going to be deflecting that 250 quite effectively here. 8 point being secured by 1-800 here. Recognizing that the monitors have turned around to deal with Flynn, they are not in a position to deny here, although Reflex Squadron, R1 rockets and KBU bombs diving on the capper here. This thing has no defenses, fires out a bunch of AMMs. That's a lot of rockets, though. I don't think this thing is going to survive. Nope, immediately destroyed. A good attempt from 1-800 to get the cap here, recognizing that the monitors were no longer denying the point. Reflex Squadron, however, is going to just get SDM down by the battleship. They do manage to kill the capper, but take heavy losses in return. How many craft is Snipes left to? Not a lot. They do still have a lot of big squadrons out in the area, but Snipes has been pretty bled on craft. ANS needs to take advantage of this. The battleship kind of hanging out by the A point, perhaps debating whether it wants to push into the point or not. The monitors have fully pivoted to engage the voxels and Flynn.
The enemy is securing zone common.
C point being secured by Duke. Gets their voxels onto the point here. And Hunter's liner has withdrawn from the C point to try and help with the A fight. C point is open for the voxels to just take here. Hunter still does have meat tugs in the area, but right as C point starts to get captured, Hunter's backcapper takes the B point. There is nothing to stop this thing from taking the B point, as LIMOS is going to maintain their 3 cap here. The monitors backing up from the engagement with the voxels here. The voxels using their superior speed to just duck behind cover here. Potentially maybe try to put pressure on the A point. Now, Duke still does have this capper down here. However, I believe Rocket Squadron is probably strike. Yep, Rocket Squadron is strike. Has full R1 and KBU bomb loadout here. Potentially going for the voxels here. These voxels are busy. Using RPF destroys the squadron back there. Protects Flynn. Flynn hasn't really been able to do much with the missiles yet. Has been pretty zoned out by the monitors and craft so far. Rocket Squadron is detected now. The voxels are starting to put RPF down range. I believe that was from the voxels. Something RPF related hit these things. Nope, the voxels pivoting to Whistler Squadron here. Whistler Squadron's been up in the air for quite a while now. Duke is committing the capper onto A. Where is Rocket? Rocket is looping around. No, but it's turning around. Is the capper spotted? No, it's not. Rocket Squadron is still close enough to probably strike that capper before it takes the point, although I think that Duke realizes that they need to make a play for the caps immediately, or they're going to be way behind on points late game here. One of these cellos starting to get oranged out by the suppressing fire from the battleship. Hunter's liner jumping in front of the line of fire, trying to head to the D point here to defend against Flynn, I believe. Very silly there. We had a get down Mr. President moment as Hunter was completely unfazed by the incoming 450 fire. Although the capper is now on the A point, but the monitors are here. The monitors pivoting around already got their 100 mil on arc. Rocket Squadron does go in for a strike, veers off last second, realizing that the monitors have it covered. Meanwhile, over here, Flynn is able to deny the E point, taking down this this meat tug that was hiding under the map here, waiting for a back cap. E point is secured by 1-800 at this point. However, they are still behind on points. Although this capper is still alive. Not by much, but it's still functional. It is locked. It is being fired at. Will it survive long enough? It does! It gets the A point! The monitor's not enough to deal with the capper in time as the 3 cap goes to Team 1-800 here. Although they are still very behind on points. They need to make a play for a 4 cap and quick here, or the points will start adding up in OSP's favor. The monitor's now engaging the battleship proper here, putting Hesh down range. The Hesh is wreaking havoc on this battleship's turret systems, knocking out the main gun, some ammo elevators, and the VLS-2 on the back. The railguns are also devastating for this battleship, causing a massive amounts of fires. Those are 8 fires. Lots of debuffs on this thing. This battleship needs to get into cover quickly and start enacting repairs, or it's just going to get whittled down by the suppressing fire. The Voxels are firing RPF at Hunter's liner here. Is this thing Sundrive? Yep. This thing is moving so fast that I believe that Black Bat thinks that this is a light asset. Although it is not a light asset. 250 and 100 mil starts going out into these broadside voxels here. That not going to do a whole lot of damage immediately, but if these voxels don't start putting fire back, that is going to start adding up. SDMs from the voxels go into Rocket Squadron, which is rushing down the battleship with R1s and KBUs. The battleship's VLS launcher is disabled. It doesn't have its SDMs to defend itself. Although, that being said, it doesn't have any left. Okay, never mind. Rocket Squadron is reduced to only 7 craft here by the RPF fire. Rockets do go out. Will there be a bomb follow-up, or will Rocket withdraw to save their numbers? The bombs are still not authorized. These things are hanging out within defender range. One gets shot down. These things are very low on fuel. Yep, they are returning to base. The battleship is saved from being hellbombed, but it is still taking heavy damage from the monitors and rail cello. Meanwhile, Hunter's liner getting pretty good damage into the broadside of Black Bat's voxel here. Still firing RPF into the squadrons, recognizing that it needs to save its ally here, although this liner is going to duck behind cover here. Flynn could be in a position to start putting missiles into it. What's this thing's point defense looking like? Absolutely no point defense. A VLS-1 with some chaff is not going to cut it against missiles like what Flynn has. Meanwhile, Duke's voxels has just been kind of cleaning up the light assets back here, trying to make sure that CA point doesn't get back capped. This one is going to go down here. Hellcringe Hunter has 2... Nope, only 1 functional meat tug, which is going for the A point. Oh, no. 1-800 has nothing to keep the A point in their hands here. Black Bat's voxels have moved back. These things need to be closer to the A point to make sure it doesn't flip. Yeah, this thing is going to be uncontested if it gets there in time. The voxels do have reverse thrust going, could potentially start be moving over to the A point to deny it, although this tug is not detected. Duke keeping a capper next to the B point, waiting for it to be back capped. They do not know what capped the point, but look at this, Ruby Squadron! Ruby Squadron has KBU bombs. Yeah, the bombs start going out. The battleship is severely injured. Those KBU bombs are going to be enough to cripple this battleship. No restores left. This battleship is mission killed. Scrubbus is effectively out of the game here. Flynn, noticing the liner, sends a bunch of S2Hs at it, trying to keep this thing off the E point here. Hunter has no defenses against these missiles. These are S2s. Those are going to do some damage, not a whole lot. This thing is pretty cheaply built, although it has a lot of mass to tank the damage with. A point being secured by Limos here. This ship does get bloomed on, although it is still alive. Magazine is redded, so it is not combat effective right now, although there is nothing in the area to really destroy it in time. The voxels trying to keep the monitors at bay while Duke has split up the voxels here, one going for D and looks like the other one going for B here, trying to get the caps back into their hands here, although D is very heavily defended by OSP at this point. A is likely going to get flipped here. These voxels are not anywhere close enough to destroy that thing, and even if they were, this thing is behind cover. It is pretty durable. It will survive long enough to take the A point, as that, Limos gets back to their 3 cap with a pretty massive points advantage. They are looking very good to win this one if they can just hold it here. Snipes starting to run low on craft here. Looks like they only have, that would be 13 plus 4. So yeah, only 17 craft remaining. And the craft are dropping rapidly as Ruby Squadron, unable to go to high burn due to fuel exhaustion, is just going to get picked off by the RPF here. Although at this point, I do believe that Snipes has done their job in just denying caps for Team 1-800 here. B point is being resecured by 1-800. They're going to get the 3 cap back, although the points lead that Limos has is very substantial at this point. They need the 4 cap immediately or they are going to lose here pretty quickly. And even with the 4 cap, it's still going to be close. Limos has done a really good job conserving their frontline assets for this entire match. The monitors and the Escalation still very healthy, still very combat effective. Scrubbus is out of the match here, is going to detonate too by the looks of it. Yep. That could be a fuel line fire. Yep, no, that's a detonation. To 1-800's credit, though, they have managed to keep their voxels pretty healthy for this match, despite the massive front line that they're up against. Black Bat is going for A to resecure the point from this meat tug here. It is spotted. It will start being fired upon any moment here. Although, not really a whole lot of fast assets. Well, I guess you could count the voxels as fast assets, considering their drive setup. Flynn is moving off the E point here. Flynn needs to stick next to this point here to keep this thing from capping it. One of Duke's voxels starts getting railed by the rail cello. It does go dark here. The rail cello stops detecting it. This thing is locked. What are you locked by? Is that within 8 kilometers? 9 kilometers? Yeah, it is. All right, it's being locked by this this voxel here. The voxel managing to stay dark. This thing doesn't have a radar, I don't think. No, it doesn't. It had no radar to maximize the fire rate of its railguns. Duke might be able to kill the rail cello here if they stay with a firing arc relative to it at least. Black Bat moving their voxels onto the A point here, managing to finish off this meat tug here so they can secure it. The Escalation are pushing in to overlook it, recognizing that this capper is going to die and that there is a play for the A point here being taken under by 1-800. The monitors as well are moving back over. Lots of firepower going to go into these voxels here. If they're not careful, they're just going to get annihilated while trying to take the cap. It looks like Xenophon has split off one of the monitors to defend D point here. A very effective strategy considering how little ANS has left. E point being secured by Hunter. Their liner moves onto the point. It is structure broken, has taken missiles from Flynn, although Flynn... Does Flynn still have enough missiles to deal with that? They are firing a mixed salvo on this liner, although the liner is moving rather quickly behind cover. Some of these missiles are going to rock PD more than likely. Yeah, unfortunate. Direct missiles are going to rock PD. These are HEKP, though, into a structure-broken liner here. Not a whole lot of damage. This thing is still functional. What's keeping this thing alive? It has DC, the complex... Yeah, the complex still is at 44% health. Grifoon Squadron trying to help the liner, putting rockets into Flynn here, although only a couple, not a whole lot. R1s don't do a whole lot of damage on their own, although they do manage to kill this thing. They kill the damage control team. The damage control team probably already injured by Flynn being on permaflank. That is a very healthy ship to lose to a damage control death. That is rough. E does go into the hands of LIMOS here as the liner secures it. A point, though, being secured by Black Bat, although these voxels are going to suffer for it. Duke coming up from under the map, trying to help their friend out against the Acellos here, but this amount of meat diving onto the point is not... Yeah, you need a bit more than 3 voxels to deal with this much force. These things did have S3s in the back, although they're curiously haven't been used. Looks like, yeah, these missiles are not being used. Very unfortunate for Black Bat. They are starting to hurt this Acello here, but there is still a second Acello as well as 3 monitors diving on A. E point. Flynn manages to clean up the liner on E, will secure the point here. D point trying to be back-capped by Duke, but this monitor here denying it. A very excellent play from Xenophon putting this thing on the D point to secure it, recognizing that all they need to do is hold it. And the shuttle that capped the B point, back-capping the C point as well. This shuttle has been definitely worth its price as it has back-capped 2 points from 1-800, forced several ships to redeploy to the backline to recap the points. Very excellent play from Hunter here. Nothing to deny that point cap, as this voxel is still busy dealing with the rail cello back here. One of the monitors also being tasked to hunt down this voxel here in conjunction with the rail cello. This thing does have a radar on it. Yes, it does have a radar on it, so it will be able to spot for the rail cello. The voxels on A completely cored. These things are not going to be back in the fight. Although they are still contesting the point here by still technically being combat effective. Duke down here, 1 voxel is not going to be enough to dislodge this many ships from the A point here. 1 healthy Acello, 3 healthy monitors, and 1 still pretty okay Acello here holding down the A point here. Flynn burning inward towards the A point, trying to help out the battle for A, although losing another ship in the process. Yeah, another ship with missiles still left. That's rough. And more missiles out on another one. This one drives down. Doesn't take a whole lot of damage, though. The thing is able to be repaired, although only 2 functional ships at the moment left from Flynn. D point being held by the monitor pretty well. This was the escort for Black Bat's monitors. It carries only, I believe, SDMs and active decoys. Will not be enough. But look at that! The monitors and the Acellos are bloomed on A. Multiple ships here having their armor stripped. Does ANS have enough to capitalize on that? I don't know if they do. Their fleet's been pretty heavily damaged here, losing Black Bat and Scrubbus completely. Flynn is nearly completely out of assets. Duke still does have voxels, but they're not in any good position to really deal with things. I don't think that ANS is going to be able to pull this back. OSP is at 900, gonna get a 3-cap back here by capturing... What are they capturing? They're retaking A. The voxels finally combat ineffective. Stepping off the point as well. This one is no longer on the point. A will be secured by LIMOS here. Flynn trying desperately, heading towards the D point here to try and recap it, although Claw Squadron has R1 strikes out on these ships here. Damages one of them, holds their rockets. Are they going to split fire? Yep, rockets into the other one. Structure breaking that one, damaging the other one. Both of these are... One of them is still alive, although one of them is now dead. This still alive one is no longer combat effective. And there goes the surrender from 1-800, recognizing that they do not have enough assets left to really contest this, as it is now 1-0 in favor of Limos, and we are moving on to the next match. I believe we're going to Tumbleweed. Very excellent play from OSP's frontline there, able to just hold down the middle of the map here. The Voxels and Battleship unable to really push into them. CLs do quite a lot against the light assets, although OSP just had so much light assets to spare that they could just keep securing caps. Hunter was very, very skilled with this back capper asset here that was able to just secure multiple points behind ANS's back. And the Battleship, unfortunately, died before being able to do much, constantly being suppressed by the Rail Cello and Monitors, and finally getting killed off by Kraft once its VLS went down and it ran out of SDMs. Flynn, unfortunately, not really able to do much with the missile fleet. Was able to deny a couple of points, destroy the liner, but not really able to do much beyond that. The Voxels were unfortunately just never in a really good position to hold caps. They were forced to move around the map trying to deny things and were never just in a position to deny caps. And yeah, that was a very excellent performance from Limos here. Snipes did lose most of their craft, though. The RPF really hurts in concentrated firepower like that.